He asks, "Is there any major topics where you disagree with Academic Agent?" Um,
Oh, what a convenient
well,
question. We could get
it's
right
what is his
into.
major topics? I mean, we have a couple probably. We talked about something earlier this week, didn't we?
Well, I mean, that's the at least for me, the latest video that he released. I mean, not the latest one now, but the Against Ideology video. That's sort of
Right.
what we were planning to talk on. But at least for me, I
Yeah,
sort of find myself
I'm more of a
disagreeing on it.
semi disagree there because it depends on what level you're looking at the problem. I tend to think that what's the stuff that Jordan Peterson says? You have like high resolution and low resolution, and the low resolution would be the level where the myth of the ruling elite is sort of propagated. But the high resolution, the down to earth, what actually happens in the day to day operations is purely Machiavellian or Italian elitist, in my view.
Well, so like
So
when
it
Jordan
feels
Peterson
like
explains
he
this,
is shaking off the need for ideology, which I feel is weird. And so I think that the problem is that with this discussion is that there's two levels to this, and someone like AA is talking on level one, while everyone else is talking on level two, or not everyone else, but half the people are talking on level two, and the other half is talking on level one. Because I
yeah,
feel like both of these things can be true at the same time. Like the the divine right of kings can be a societal myth that is the framework that forms the hierarchy of the Middle Ages, and Charlemagne doesn't have to give a shit about it. You know, both of these things can be true at the same time.
yeah, no, I think I see what you mean. Like when Jordan Peterson explains this, and he makes the pyramid with his fingers, and he like flutters them around to show like he's talking about layers or
Yeah, yeah,
meaning and so on. I mean, my criticism is not really rooted in anything with layers, but as far as I understood his argument with against ideology, he basically says that ideology is just kind of post hoc rationalizations for power maintaining itself or power expanding itself. I think that's the sort of fair
yeah,
assessment of what he said in that video, and like
yeah,
that leads eventually to why we're going to have like clear them out as the kind of negative vision for the dissident right, because ideology doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's just like post hoc rationalizations. So I mean, like the first criticism that I have is that he basically says, okay, it's you talk about the elite that exists, right? The elite that already have power, and that their decisions to maintain power, expand power, are always going to be just they have to coat it in ideology in a sense, but it never really makes sense because the ultimate goal is just to maintain and preserve. But the thing is that that's when you already have power, right?
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so we don't have power, and my view of ideology is that I don't understand how you are supposed to get power without ideology, because as elite theory says,
And
the most.
that would be my
Yeah.
criticism as well. I think it is ignoring them. I tried to tweet at him with this, but I didn't get a chance to really go into it with him. Where by doing that, he also ignores, which is why I want to reread Metaphysics of Power. He ignores the metaphysics of power, the creation of that myth, right? Because both of these things can happen at the same time.
Yes, and I mean, just to continue on my point there, as elite theory tells us, like the organized are the most powerful. The better you're organized, the more power you're going to have, and ideology is a tool of organization. So if you're not going to have any type of ideology, then what else are you going to use to organize other than, I guess, just some kind of hierarchical leadership, or just using computer technology in a sense? Like, I mean, a part of, say, the communists' ability to organize is in the fact that they have a shared ideology that gives them a framework for understanding a historical context. It allows them to create strategies. It allows them to justify and give them authority to justify certain actions that they're going to do toward others and so on. I mean, let's say at the Schildings event, after Evelyn had done the propaganda, the sort of speech on propaganda, and you had people in the hall doing the Q&A asking if, like, is propaganda ethical or not, and then we're getting into this discussion if propaganda is ethical. I mean, if you have a proper ideological framework, then you don't have to ask those questions. I mean, you can just refer to what Karl Marx said in his manifesto, or what it says in the Bible, or what it says in this book, or whatever. I mean, let's say you're a jihadi. Well, we have this thing called taqiyya, right, that justifies us doing this to the non-Muslims, and we don't have to have this discussion because this has already been decided within the ideological framework. And we don't have to keep reminding people over and over again what we have to do, because we all share the same ideology, and therefore authority can be justified through that, and not through basically
in a weird
just force,
sense,
right?
you could then make the argument that because the mid-century Germans and the Italians didn't have a strong ideological core outside of, our policy is simple, we wish to rule Italy, is why those nations were able to be subverted so heavily post-war.
Well, I
That's
do
just
actually,
a weird crackpot theory I just had.
but I do think there was more to fascism than just we want to rule, right? It is ideology is more than just like book
Yeah, no,
stuff.
the movement in general, yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't know how exactly you're supposed to even understand what you're supposed to do with that ideology. Let's say you have a group of nationalists that are organized, and nationalism is their ideology. Well, that allows them to understand, okay, there is such a thing as a nation that is really more than anything that I can see empirically. Like, it is like this kind of subjective, this construct that is a nation, and there's a people that belong in this nation, and that's something, and there are borders, and that's something more than I can just see with my eyes and in my ears, and that we can just talk about as facts. But it's something that we believe, that's metaphysical, that we believe in, and we think it's valuable.
It comes down to sort of like a core philosophical chicken and egg sort of situation. Are you an ideology first person, or a realism first person, right?
Yeah, but like, give me the other scenario where you have people with no power who get together and they just build power. I mean, I don't see how that happens, other than like these people are just complete, sort of psychopaths, and there are no reason why the society that they will produce will be any better than what we have now. Like, you just get in a new bunch of people who are only interested in power and maintaining their own power. Like, why would that be more based? Like, why would that be any less corrupt or any better in any sense than what we have now? We might as well just let these people rule.
That's where my core disagreement would be, is that tossing away one of them is foolish, when both of these things can run concurrently. You can build the ideology and the power at the same time.